Virtues. Virtue is practicing what is good, like decreasing greed, anger, and ignorance. Virtue is to improve oneself, which will help transcend birth and death and lead to Buddhahood. In the Samyutta Nikaya Sutta, the Buddha mentioned about 11 virtues that would conduce towards the well-being of women both in this world and in the next. Merit is the good quality in us, which ensures future benefits to us, material of spiritual. It is not difficult to perceive that to desire merit, to hoard, store, and accumulate merit does, however meritorious it may be, imply a considerable degree of self-seeking. It has always been the tactics of the Buddhists to weaken the possessive instincts of the spiritually less endowed members of the community by withdrawing them from such objects as wealth and family, and directing them instead towards one aim and object, the acquisition of merit. But that, of course, is good enough only on a fairly low spiritual level. At higher stages one will have to turn also against this form of possessiveness. One will have to be willing to give up one's store of merit for the sake of the happiness of others. The Mahayana drew this conclusion and expected its followers to endow other beings with their own merit, or, as the scriptures put it, to turn over or dedicate their merit to the enlightenment of all beings. Through the merit derived from all our good deeds, we wish to appease the suffering of all creatures, to be the medicine, the physician, and the nurse of the sick as long as there is sickness. Through rains of food and drink, we wish to extinguish the fire of hunger and thirst. We wish to be an inexhaustible treasure to the poor, a servant who furnishes them with all they lack. Our life, and all our rebirth, all our possessions, all the merit that we have acquired or will acquire, all that we abandon without hope of any gain, for ourselves in order that the salvation of all beings might be promoted. According to Buddhism, virtue is fundamental, the root, while wealth is incidental. Virtuous conduct is the foundation of a person, while wealth is only an insignificant thing. Virtuous conduct begins in small places. Sincere Buddhists should not think a good deed is too small and fail to do it, then idly sit still waiting around for a big good deed. As a matter of fact, there is no such small or big good deed. A mountain is an accumulation of specks of dust. Although each speck is tiny, many specks piled up can form a big mountain. Similarly, virtuous deeds may be small, yet when many are accumulated, they will form a mountain of virtue. In addition, virtue will help transcend birth and death and lead to Buddhahood. In the Lotus Sutra, the Buddha taught about the merit of the eye as follows: that a good son or good daughter, with the natural pure eyes received at birth from his or her parents, it means that they already brought with them from previous lives the merit of the eyes, will see whatever exists within and without the 3,000 great thousand-fold world, mountains, forests, rivers, and seas, down to the Avicii hell and up to the summit of existence, and also see all the living beings in it, as well as see and know in detail all their karma cause and rebirth states of retribution, even though they have not yet attained divine vision of heavenly beings. They are still capable of discerning the real state of all things. They can receive the power to do so while living in the Saha world, because they have pure eyes unclouded with mental illusion. To put it more plainly, they can do so because their minds become so pure that they are devoid of selfishness, so that they view things unswayed by prejudice or subjectivity. They can see things correctly as they truly are, because they always maintain calm minds and are not swayed by impulse. Remember, a thing is not reflected, as it is in water boiling over a fire. A thing is not mirrored, as it is on the surface of water hidden by plants. A thing is not reflected, as it is on the surface of water running, and waves stirred up the wind. The Buddha teaches us very clearly that we cannot view the real state of things until we are free from the mental illusion caused by selfishness and passion. Regarding the merit of the year, the Buddha teaches that any good son or good daughter who has improved in the 5 practices of the preacher will be able to hear all words and sounds with his natural ears. A person who has attained a serene mind through cultivation in accordance with the Buddha's teachings can grasp the subtle shifting of things through their sounds. With a serene ear, one can grasp distinctly the movements of nature just by hearing the sounds of crackling fire, of murmuring water, and of whistling wind. When such a person hears the sounds of nature, he can enjoy them as much as if he were listening to beautiful music. However, the most important thing for you to remember in cultivation for the merit of the ear is that a person can listen without being under their control, and he will hear without harm to his organ of hearing. It is to say, even if he hears the sounds of beautiful music, he is not attached to them. He may be fond of music for a short time, but he has no permanent attachment to it, nor is lulled into forgetting other important matters. An ordinary person hears the sounds of worry, of suffering, and of grief on one side and the sounds of dispute and quarrels on the other. He will be thrown into confusion. But a sincere and devout practitioner of the Buddha's teachings will not be overwhelmed. He will dwell calmly amid the noise, and will be able to hear these sounds with serenity. According to the Kaigatasati Sutta, in the middle-length discourses of the Buddha, cultivation of mindfulness of the body means, when walking, a person understands that he is walking. When standing, he understands that he is standing. When sitting, he understands that he is sitting. When lying, he understands that he is lying. He understands accordingly however his body is disposed, as he abides thus diligent, ardent, and resolute. His memories and intentions based on the household life are abandoned. That is how a person develops mindfulness of the body. One becomes a conqueror of discontent and delight. And discontent does not conquer oneself. One abides overcoming discontent whenever it arises. One becomes a conqueror of fear and dread. And fear and dread do not conquer oneself. One abides overcoming fear and dread whenever they arise. One bears cold and heat, hunger and thirst, and contact with gadflies, mosquitoes, wind, the sun, and creeping things. One endures ill-spoken, unwelcome words and arisen bodily feelings that are painful, racking, sharp, piercing, disagreeable, distressing, and menacing to life. One obtains at will, without trouble or difficulty, the 4 jhanas that constitute the higher mind, and provide a pleasant abiding here and now. One wields the various kinds of supernormal power. Having been one, he becomes many. Having been many, he becomes one. He appears and vanishes. He goes unhindered through a wall, through an enclosure, through a mountain, as though through space. He dives in and out of the earth as though it were water. He walks on water without sinking, as though it were earth. Seated cross-legged, he travels in space like a bird. With his hand he touches and strokes the moon and sun so powerful and mighty. He wields bodily mastery even as far as the Brahma world. One understands the minds of other beings, of other persons, having encompassed them with one's own mind. He understands the mind of other beings, of other persons, having encompassed them with his own mind. He understands a mind affected by lust as affected by lust and a mind unaffected by lust. He understands a mind affected by hate as affected by hate and a mind unaffected by hate as unaffected by hate. He understands a mind affected by delusion as affected by delusion and a mind unaffected by delusion as unaffected by delusion. He understands a contracted mind as contracted and a distracted mind as distracted mind. He understands an exalted mind as exalted and an unexalted mind as unexalted. He understands a surpassed mind as surpassed and an unsurpassed as unsurpassed. He understands a concentrated mind as concentrated and an unconcentrated mind as unconcentrated. He understands a liberated mind as liberated and an unliberated mind as unliberated. One recollects one's manifold past lives. That is, 1 birth, 2 births, 100 births, 1,000 births, 100,000 births, many eons of world contraction, many eons of world expansion. Many eons of world contraction and expansion. There I was so named, of such a clan, with such an appearance. Such was my nutriment. Such my experience of pleasure and pain. Such my life term, and passing away from there, I reappeared elsewhere. And there too I was so named, of such an appearance. Such was my nutriment. Such my experience of pleasure and pain. Such my life term. And passing away from there, I reappeared here. Thus with their aspects and particulars one recollects one's manifold past lives. With the divine eye, which is purified and surpasses the human, one sees beings passing away and reappearing, inferior and superior, fair and ugly, fortunate and unfortunate. And one understands how beings pass on according to their actions. By realizing for oneself with direct knowledge, one here and now enters upon and abides in the deliverance of mind, and deliverance by wisdom, that are taintless with the destruction of the taints. King Liangwuti asked Bodhidharma, "All my life I have built temples, given sanction to the Sangha, practiced giving, and arranged vegetarian feasts. What merit and virtue have I gained?" Bodhidharma said, "There was actually no merit and virtue." Zen practitioners should always remember that. Whatever is in the stream of births and deaths, even conditioned merits and virtues lead to rebirth within samsara. We have been swimming in the stream of outflows for so many eons. Now if we wish to get out of it, we have no choice but swimming against that stream. To be without outflows is like a bottle that does not leak. For human beings, people without outflows means they are devoid of all bad habits and faults. They are not greedy for wealth, sex, fame, or profit. However, sincere Buddhists should not misunderstand the differences between greed and necessities. Remember, eating, drinking, sleeping, and resting will become outflows only if we overindulge in them. Sincere Buddhists should only eat, drink, sleep, and rest moderately so that we can maintain our health for cultivation. That's enough. On the other hand, when we eat too much, or we try to select only delicious dishes for our meal, then we will have an outflow. In the Dharma Jewel Platform Sutra, the sixth patriarch emphasized that all acts from King Liangwuti actually had no merit and virtue. Emperor Wu of Liang's mind was wrong. He did not know the right Dharma. Building temples and giving sanction to the Sangha, practicing giving and arranging vegetarian feasts is called Seeking blessings. Do not mistake blessings for merit and virtue. Merit and virtue are in the Dharma body, not in the cultivation of blessings. The Master further said, seeing your own nature is merit, and equanimity is virtue. To be unobstructed in every thought. Constantly seeing the true, real, wonderful function of your original nature is called merit. And virtue. Inner humility is merit. And the outer practice of reverence is virtue. Your self-nature establishing the 10,000 dharmas is merit, and the mind substance separate from thought is virtue. Not being separate from the self-nature is merit. And the correct use of the undefiled self-nature is virtue. If you seek the merit and virtue of the Dharma body, simply act according to these principles. For this is true merit and virtue. Those who cultivate merit in their thoughts do not slight others but always respect them. Those who slight others and do not cut off the me and mine are without merit. The vain and unreal self-nature is without virtue. Because of the me and mine. Because of the greatness of the self. And because of the constant slighting of others. Good knowing advisors, continuity of thought is merit. The mind practicing equality. And directness is virtue. Self-cultivation of one's nature is merit. And self-cultivation of the body is virtue. Good knowing advisors. Merit and virtue should be seen within one's own nature, not sought through giving and making offerings. That is the difference between blessings and merit and virtue. Emperor Wu did not know the true principle. Our patriarch was not in error. Zen practitioners should always remember that. Merit is what one establishes by benefiting others, while virtue is what one practices to improve oneself, such as decreasing greed, anger, and ignorance. Both merit and virtue should be cultivated side by side. These two terms are sometimes used interchangeably. However, there is a crucial difference. Merits are the blessings, wealth, intelligence of the human and celestial realms, therefore. They are temporary and subject to birth and death. Virtue, on the other hand, transcend birth and death and lead to Buddhahood. The same action of giving charity can lead to either merit or virtue. If you give charity with the mind to obtain mundane rewards, you will get merit. However, if you give charity with the mind to decrease greed, you will obtain virtue. Merit is what one established by benefiting others, while virtue is what one practices to improve oneself, such as decreasing greed, anger, and ignorance. Both merit and virtue should be cultivated side by side. These two terms are sometimes used interchangeably. However, there is a crucial difference. Merits are the blessings, wealth, intelligence of the human and celestial realms. Therefore, they are temporary and subject to birth and death. Virtue, on the other hand, transcend birth and death and lead to Buddhahood. The same action of giving charity with the mind to obtain mundane rewards. You will get merit, however, if you give charity with the mind to decrease greed and stingy. You will obtain virtue. Merit is obtained from doing the Buddha work, while virtue gained from one's own practice and cultivation. If a person can sit stillness for the briefest time, he creates merit and virtue which will never disappear. Someone may say, I will not create any more external merit and virtue. I am going to have only inner merit and virtue. It is totally wrong to think that way. A sincere Buddhist should cultivate both kinds of merit and virtue. When your merit and virtue are perfected, and your blessings and wisdom are complete, you will be known as the doubly perfected honored one. Any Buddhist would want to amass merit and virtue. but not be attached to the process. People who cultivate the way should act as if nothing is being done. We should sweep away all dharmas, should go beyond all attachment to views. A sincere Buddhist should not say, "I have this particular spiritual skill," or "I have some cultivation." It is wrong to say, "I have such and such a state," or "I have such and such psychic power." Even if we have such attainment, it is still unreal and not to be believed. Do not be taken in. Faith in strange and miraculous abilities and psychic powers will keep us from realizing genuine proper concentration. We should realize that proper concentration does not come from outside, but is born instead from within our own nature. We achieve proper concentration by introspection and reflection, by seeking within ourselves. According to the Buddha, the practice of generosity, morality, patience, and energy will result in the accumulation of merit, manifested in the form dimension, while the practice of energy, meditation, and wisdom will result in the accumulation of knowledge, manifested in the truth dimension, formless. In the Dharmapada Sutra, the Buddha taught, "The scent of flowers does not blow against the wind, nor does the fragrance of sandalwood and jasmine, but the fragrance of the virtuous blows against the wind. The virtuous man pervades every direction. Of little account is the fragrance of sandalwood, lotus, jasmine. Above all these kinds of fragrance, the fragrance of virtue is by far the best. Of little account is the fragrance of sandal. The fragrance of the virtuous rises up to the gods as the highest. Mara never finds the path of those who are virtuous, careful in living and freed by right knowledge.